Going to,
Where shall I look?
This is a slate. and
Rich
you're
is
just
gonna sit
talk.
here and you're gonna talk, and you can just look at us. You never have to look at the camera if you don't want to.
No, if the camera is going to take pictures of me, you have to let it go.
Right.
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay. So this is very impromptu. We're just going to
Yes,
have a
uh-huh.
conversation. Some things that you will tell us about, we won't know, obviously, ahead of time, so we'll ask you to give us more detail.
Okay.
But the first thing, if I could ask you to describe yourself as a child, what kind of young lady were you?
Yeah, my parents came from, I don't take 2 minutes too much. I want to, how many minutes do you have for this?
Oh,
You tell us what
Okay,
you're
well,
yeah.
my family came from northern Spain. I'm part of this Galicia, same as the Celtic, the Irish, but they are different in a way. My father had vocation to be thought when he was a child. Big families in a nice little city called St. Felix, and then I be brief with them. But it ties with my vocation and my brother's vocation. He wanted to be a Capuchin Franciscan because both family, my mother's family and my father's father, my father's ancestor live close by, and they are the ones that have more lands, more whatever cattle, people working, and they gave 2 missions paid by them every year for the people to learn religion and everything, and they also built the cemetery and the church for centuries. Very religious people. The point is, my father had, this was being heard? No.
Oh, you're fine.
My father came from, my mother was a neighbor, but they knew each other when they were small. They played together with the people. And my mother wanted to be a Trinitarian. My father had like 5 or 6, one died, one girl fell from the horse and died. My mother they were 5 girls and 3 boys, or 4 boys, 9 altogether. My grandfather was a giant. He have 7 sisters who always say, we are not going to have an inheritance, we are not going to marry because you are my brother, the only brother is going to, and he said no. And he prepared himself so well, and he went to work beside the land for the Count of Quiroga, who was administrator. Okay, let's do that. My mother also had vocation. She wanted to be a Trinitarian in the United States. The family the girls did not need to work outside or anything. So my mother was the smallest of the girl, and then there were 1 or 2 little boys, and the parents thought this is going to be for us. We are going to keep it and have it here, although the others married. So this ended with the part of the ancestors. When my mother saved money 3 times. She didn't work outside. She knitted at night and embroidered and sold it to some people, and he got for the dowry and somewhere. She had the education of the time. And then besides that, 3 times, and 3 times when she was ready to go and come to America to the Trinitarians who were modern, they have a little dress like that. Imagine last century in the years 30 or 30s or so, they have a black little dress with a little hat and very nice. Every time the parents discovered everything, took all the trunks, all the things, all the passport, and said no. And my father, her father was the one who gave missions to, a whole week with payment and everything and food for the people twice a year. And he said, many women in a house, it will be war. We don't, the convent, no? No, you are not for that. We need you here. So my mother said, well, it must be the will of God because I cannot be forever, And it was the pastor. The pastor favored that she be with my parents, but what about her vocation? And then the priest told me that my mother, she never told us. One priest told me, I want you to write the part of the family, your brother so who is in the list of the people to be canonized in the future. My older brother and the one that was a bishop that is here, but I don't want that part unless you. Well, and then he said that my mother, since she was tiny, she had visions of the Blessed Trinity, but she couldn't describe it because it's a beauty and the forms, but she never told us. You see, she never told us out of humility. She spoke very beautiful about the sacrament of marriage too. A big, great way to go to God, and we go directly, loving God first and then the neighbor. But the family have to love the children. That's part of the church, you see. And so what happened is that when my father was the oldest one, her father was kidnapped by the pastor. He was an intellectual, and the pastor had him busy. And who took care of the lands and everything? You know, the mother. And my father, and they were losing a little bit of money. My father was the oldest one, said, I'm going to Cuba, because in Cuba, when the money runs in the country with salaries and things, you know, with the other people is when they sell property that they acquire money or get it. So he went to Cuba, and then he thought that he exactly didn't have a vocation, you know, he didn't know what to do. And then God permitted it that way, because we have 5 vocations in the family. Imagine, one was me. So I imagine when I was 4 years old, many nuns and priests came and talked so this is the beginning that you could use. Talked so beautiful on the priests and sisters and everything, and the things they did. And 4 years old, I said, this is the best thing to work for God. Why work for any other person? I'm going to be for God. And then going so much to Mass, I know that Jesus is in the Blessed Sacrament. For us Catholics, we believe it, you know. This is truly my body who will be. Every time you gather, you know, he wanted to feed us, you know, to be divine. So what? I've been receiving communions all my life since I was 7 years old. For the 40 days, imagine, except 1 or 2 days. So when the sisters here gathered to talk to others about vocation, they don't get me. My vocation was very spiritual, too spiritual. And then I have such a perspective of the life and eternity and everything that I wanted to work for Christ as soon as possible. So by the time I was 13 or 14, I was in high school in Cuba. My parents went to Cuba to make money, and then they returned to Spain. No, they stayed in Cuba. Then we have, so by the time I was 14, I said, 13, I want to enter as soon as possible. They didn't allow us to enter when we were 15. We have to have a career. So I did the 6 years of high school. Don't say that, you know. Say that I became a professional by 17 years old. I did the 6 years of high school together with, in Cuba, that was equivalent to have the college here. At the same time, without telling the nuns, I had permission from the Board of Education. My brothers too, they were very brainy and very... at the same time, I went to the Havana Business Academy, that was an American academy of business, the college, and I got the executive bilingual business with the training and secretariatship, you know. That were 4 years, I did it in 3 years, the 2 things. Then I went to the convent, and I said, I'm a professional, but I was scared. I had the picture here when I entered, and I really was scared, but I was happy. And I was very happy, but very serious and very... I understood the word so much. This was a spoil, you know. I'm very serious. I lent it to a person, and she disgraces here and here. But imagine the second day of being in a convent with so many grown-ups. You know, I was pretty serious there. So we resemble each other very much. So that's my vocation. Then I went into... We have a long, the training, you know, at the beginning when you enter, you have several years in which they try you to, and at that time they try you enough. My brothers too, who were in the seminary, 5 of them went, but the little one afterwards said, no, he went to Louvain, and in Louvain he didn't see the best picture of a priest. Just anybody took wine or took refreshment for the Mass. What's that, you know? It has to be. So he said, no, then I don't become a priest. He didn't set the good example of my brothers in Cuba. And so my brothers too, beautiful. I don't know what, it was a blessing from God to belong to that. So I cannot say that. If I tell this to people who are interested in vocation, they want a little bit of action, whatever. They never took me more for that, you know? So that's it. And even my brothers in the seminary, because the first one gave us the example, he was extraordinary. But he was but we were, I wouldn't say pretty handsome, but they were handsome, you know? And they, and they were turned into pastors, and 2 of them into bishops in Miami. That was, in Miami they did, among the 4 of them, they did 10 parishes, which is hard. Not with the high school and big thing there, but but when they die and everything, nobody says anything, remembers anything that this happened, the chancellor or the other so died. So we decided that not wait to write the life of, everybody said, you have to write the life of your, I obey Bishop one, and I make a little summary of my mother, nothing else. Because I said, what is life? Everything goes, passes away, but the will of God. And I have so much zeal for God. I wanted to enter the convent, and I thought I was going to be allowed to be like St. Paul. I was shy, but I knew so much religion. Are you Catholics or, well, by the time I was 6 for First Communion, I understood what the sacrilege was, And I wanted to be, it gave me, when I talk about God, I knew almost a lot of theology too. And I took the theology twice because I do, whenever I encounter a person, I do some evangelizing. I'm talking too much with my hands. The Cubans knew it, and the Spaniards and the Italians and all that. And I've been in some of my careers in English. I have to be in the whole afternoon in the theater, like Ophelia crying or this and that, and you learn to do, So, and being a teacher too, you have to be a little bit of an actress too. So, you have a long life. My brothers in the seminary said, it's not because my older brother was entered first and gave us an example. No. Every day you have any teacher or any priest who can scold you, humiliate you, they have to clean the whole seminary, and they have so many subjects you wouldn't believe it. Christology, Hebrew, this and the other, and so we kept our own. We really have vocations, you see. Well, that's our life. The first years of my life were mostly a teacher, and I enjoy that. The only thing that pay for it are my poor legs, So many years of teacher, like 30-some, standing. Then, when my father died, I already was a sister of St. Joseph, and I wanted to see whether my mother died in the Catholic hospital. I wanted to work there. And I told one of the bishops, what do you think? He said, he had been both places. He said, the hospital is going to be well for you. And God doesn't give me miracles or anything. When I was 6 years old, I was very mature. I know that some people could be tempted, even the saints, with pride and everything. And I told them, Mary Immaculate one day was there in this chapel. I was talking to her, and I said, what? You are smiling. Why don't you talk to me? And I said, no. I don't want to be a saint. When I be a saint, that goes for pride and says, I have visions, and no. It's okay. You take care of me. But nevertheless, in dreams, I got some messages from St. Joseph that I didn't know what it was, And then in also the Blessed Mother, when I have going to have a big something in my life, a big suffering, at the time of my profession, because my mistress or novice, who was supposed to say, it's her profession, we have to prepare. She forgot for months, and I was in the air, and the government too. So I have a dream, and I saw exactly a room. Don't say that to the people, because this is no miracle. I am not a saint. I'm very human too. I love chastity all my life like an angel. I've been as to virtues. But you have your pride and your things and your whatever. No. This is a little like a thought that Jesus said, why don't you do this? So the 2 dreams of St. Joseph came later when I moved to St. Augustine, I dreamed that he was going to be always with me. I had not seen the Milano beach at all. And I dreamed that the whole night St. Anthony was with me, St. Joseph with me back and forth by the beach, by the sea, telling me many things spiritually and beautiful. And I said, dear Lord, what can this mean? Well, the point is, what came across was, I'll always be with you, You're going to be with me. And I said, well, he was great saint, And so he took my brothers out of Cuba too. From Cuba, the sisters have to leave. They took their convents and everything. And the poor Cubans brothers were abandoned, even by the church. the church have relationship with countries, and they have money coming and going, and everybody forgot my poor brother, the bishop, who is here too, one of them. I couldn't find the albums because I didn't intend, but nothing had been done. Here you see that he's sick. He was made pastor, and the other was chancellor and everything. This one in a small prisons in Cuba, tiny little thing with thrown rice, everything thrown to him for months and months. I was in Panama then, and I wrote to the nuncio, papal nuncio, and I scolded him. I was very young yet, And I said, prepare yourself to face you have, and all, some of you too, the priests are forgotten, my brothers. They have nothing. They've been innocent. And the oldest one was in the prison of Cuba, the worst one. And sometimes they tormented them by saying, calling them to death to the wall with a bayonet. And they just shot them through here, and they were alive, and they have to begin again. And they said, they just called from Russia and said that that's not the death penalty for them. The death penalty for them is being hanged, this year. So, and he was so humiliated by my letter. He showed it to my brother, who was a chancellor then, the other one. And to get something in Miami, like bishop or chancellor, even to be a pastor is something. Here he is already sick when he was made a bishop, but he didn't know that he was so sick. Hilbert, very saintly person. He was small, he was perfection. He used to say, Mom, you don't have to care about my uniform. I try to keep it. Children have to be changed in Cuba, I said, I took care of it the whole day. Look, it's clean. Tomorrow you don't have to wash it. It's child like that, so beautiful. And never, I don't want to get into my family, just my work in the congregation. The first years I was a teacher for 30 years. Then when my father died, I went into Mercy. And I have another little dream from Our Lady. I dreamed, in front of the Chapel of Mercy, there was a picture of Our Lady with the child Jesus, and the hand of Our Lady was like that, And the first was at the entrance of the hospital, that was there in the side, with the hand over this, like reaching to you. And I always respected, any statue. Then one night before entering to work at Mercy, the bishop told me, work at Mercy, your father died there, your mother. So I began to work, and then on the second night, I dreamt that I was coming into the chapel, and they have changed the statue from there to the chapel. I dreamed that Our Lady was telling me, like saying stay, And then I just, another 33 years as a chaplain. And the chaplains today have no time to sit. Neither the doctors nor the nurses, they are like that. They have so many people. The doctor says, Sister, could you allow me? I said, no, you are very important, go. And then when you begin to say a few words, so it was a hard life and beautiful. And the sick people do a lot of good to you too, And that's evangelizing too. In teaching and in that, I have evangelizing and a way of evangelizing, taking many people to God, and I have like 30 families, friends of mine, and they tell me by letters and by call and everything, they tell me all their sufferings and trials, and I deal with them, so I'm evangelizing all my life, and I say, thank you, Lord. You didn't take me to big multitudes as I wanted in the streets or the parks or whatever, but you have, even with the charges, I acquire, when you get 2 or 3 degrees, I got the theology twice because you have to put it up today. You get many credits and you immediately say, I have 3 more and I have psychology. With this more, so I did some, and I said, having so many more, don't say that to the sisters or anybody, masters than others, I am kept like that. My poor legs were all these years standing, so that's and right now this is my last dimension. I want to continue to evangelize. I don't have the strength of before, or the oxygen as before, but Anybody I see, I say something about God. If they say hello and I say, God bless you, have a good day, they say, oh yes, God bless you too. Say, yes, I added a few words, I do like that. This is the way for me. And the Lord really have a special love for me all my life. One of the reasons too what I entered religious life is because I said, maybe if I stay a few years after high school or something, I lose my vocation, and I don't want it. And the first day I entered the convent, I meet a poem for Jesus in Spanish that said, don't allow me to forget you. No, don't. Well, I said, don't allow me to forget you because I gave you my love and I put myself near your heart, and therefore don't let it's right. It was to, so I'm being very happy. You have many trials, especially before the amount of work from 5 o'clock in the morning and whatever. And when my brothers, the bishop and the chancellor became sick, the church had no money to take care of them. So imagine what it is only to pay for one nurse, male nurse. And so I have to be working at Mercy the whole day and then going to take a bus, going to Mercy, stay until 7, 8, almost another shift, come back to the convent at 11 o'clock, take a bath, to get up again early to go 2 shifts, Saturdays and Sunday, except that Mercy didn't have work on Saturdays and Sunday for the time. So, and I am very happy that I see clearly why he took me this way, and also because he wants me for him. He wants me, and it's a love so great. I trust him no matter what happens. And I tell the family, even if you see that an accident were to pass in the family or anything, it was the best moment for us. He loves us, and that's my religious life. And here I have time to get Mother Angelica's also and add more things. We have extra masses. My mission is begin here, charity at home, because that's our goal. Unite, receiving the love of God. We give love to the neighbor, and we teach a neighbor to love others, so that all of us can be one in God, So I try to praise the sisters and to say good, Before I used to have more money because I had a friend there and I gave them little presents, I think now. Even to buy the suits, we don't have too much, I have one new one that I have to fix. That's all. This is the thing. There is no greater love than God, especially in the person of Jesus, dear Lord. To make himself, are you Catholic too?
I'm not.
No, well, as Christians, we believe exactly the gospel. And Jesus in the Last Supper took bread and said, this is the last, I'm going to say in a short time, this is the last time we're going to be together. I'll be with you always as a church, as a present, until the end of time. Besides, I'm remaining with you this way, and in the form of food. He took bread from the Last Supper and said, this bread is clearly in the gospel. This bread that you see is truly my bread, that every time you meet, which is the Mass of the Christian, every time you meet, you have to do this. In this part, you have to take the bread and say, and when they say to bring the past to the present, doesn't mean to remember him and having a little wine and like a party. No, it's really to be nourished by him. This bread is that every time you meet, you are going to do this in memory of me. But if you go to the Jewish, memory is not only to try to remember what happened. Memorial is more than memory. Memorial means a feast that continues to make it actual. So every time a Mass is said in any part of the world, here is we are being fed by God to make us children divine, divine children of him. So in front of you that love, what can you do? I wouldn't mind little sufferings. I am in this dimension of mine, this is the last part. This dimension to get closer to God. I pray also for my brothers, the priests that remain here, to be strong, because now they retire and they don't have the attention from the church as before, and some of them can work because, they could be bored there in their place. And to pray for my friends who suffered. I pray for the whole world, even the terrorists, all the nations are very universal. That's my vocation. Take away some of the things that I said about my studies, don't say it. The little things I have of advice from heaven. One day I was taking care of an old sister, and we worked so many times at the beginning until the Pope changed. She would knock at my door, at my wall, and I wait. She was sick from the heart, and people didn't believe in Panama at that time, didn't believe that the heart hurt or anything. They said the heart doesn't hurt, and whatever. So she was, and I have to be hours with her, and I felt saying, when your father and your mother die.
Hold on, 1 second. Let me see if our battery failed on us.
No, you can omit all those things.
Okay.
It's just for you to enjoy them, And the part about the Eucharist.
Is my battery?
The part about the Eucharist is actually very universal. I think it's very important. The way that you explained, it's the thing that I don't know. See, this is the thing. Sister, you don't know what other sisters have come and shared with us. And the interesting thing is we have heard several times about the theme of community.
Yes.
And in particular, this congregation.
It's for them.
And we talk about the sisters, but there's an
In
interesting
unity.
thing that you connected. They talked about how the sisters in the Mother House. They all have a everyone's very busy, and you have all kinds of activities that are here, and you have things that you work on personally. But that you come together at meal times, and how lovely it is to be able to come together.
Yes,
you have Mass every day, which is very important, and that's coming together to be nourished by the Lord. But your community comes together to be nourished, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and to commune together.
Oh yeah, not only that, but we have to join in community with a neighbor and give them the love, which is the sign. And then they train them to love others and form a community of the whole world to God. Neighbor to neighbor and neighbor to God, a big community. But the Eucharist is the most beautiful thing. If you study the personality of Jesus, no one ever spoke so beautiful like him, was so kind to him. And you can cut it already, this is just for you. And I'm very happy when these people from, where was it that a boy killed like 6 persons? Charleston, right?
Recently.
Charleston. That community of Protestants who know Jesus, but not completely as we know, because we go to everything of the Bible. You are supposed not to say, I like this, I take this. No. The first commandment of the door of God is, you shall love the Lord your God with all your strength, with all your mind, strength is the last one, with your mind, with your body, with your soul, and with all your strength. That's for the married people. The married do it through the unselfishness of the family. That's the proof that they love God. You see? And they are part of the church. They are giving members to the church, So that's what I wanted to preach to people. But community is a great thing. For you, the community is that's why I am so universal. I pray for these Muslims. How can they do crimes like that? And they are children of God. They have until they die, you see. So that's it. Cut everything. I don't care about that. I said my history and the one of my brothers and sisters in the mind of God. But if the congregation and you do us a favor, you can take the little bit you want. I don't care if it is 4 lines, And here I have some of the pictures. I have this one. Wait a minute. All my albums with pictures and everything since I moved here a year ago are on top of because I didn't have time to do things. As retired as am I, and the rhythm is a little bit less, and I cannot abandon my friends whenever they have something. Here I have some that I can, maybe you can return to me some. Okay, look. This was at the hospital. I couldn't find even the beautiful ceremonies of my brother's ordination with all the bishops, cardinals, and everything. Well, this is me with some friends I write to them. I got bursitis. This is the last picture they took of me. You see? This is my brother Faust Nelson ordination. And before to that picture, I have this. I look like tired to death. Yes, you can keep one of these two.
Oh, this is great.
This is 4 or 5 years ago. because I thought if they wouldn't get all the sisters all, and they can squeeze one maybe a few years before. This is at Mercy on the Terrace. This is when they change the habit. You see, this you can keep one of these,
Right.
and give me the other. This was when we went to the supermarket. I did once. This is all. I give it to you because they are. This is with my brother, the bishop.
Oh, good.
Yes. And you don't have to put, I am not, don't think of me at all. This is my own Father Fausto. I couldn't find any more because I have all of them there, and I have not put them around my room, but I have them here, especially at the time of the Eucharist, when we had the body and blood of Jesus here. This I tell it for you, for your own good. Jesus said, I am the vine, you are the branches. Then the body of Christ and the nourishment of Christ go through all the vine, which is the whole world. I said, Lord, allow some changes so that a little bit goes into the old people, through us, maybe to the whole world, for the whole humanity, And then I am with my family there, and I mention them, so I don't need to see them constantly there. A year and a half, and I have to put them there. So did I give you some? I have not given them to you, no? Here, did I show you my brother as a bishop? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. These are the other bishops. So maybe you don't need it. Did I give you one?
We're going to make sure we scan
Yes, okay.
all of
Right.
these.
No, well,
Yes.
and this
What's
is
that picture?
one of the crosses that the Lord asked me last year to give you. This is I have a parakeet. My brother, when the bishop died, somebody had given, my sister Teresita had given him a beautiful parakeet, but he was an angel. He was the most intelligent bird. I got the biggest cage as long as my window. I was allowed to have it in my room. I made little parks in my room, and I am a perfectionist. I wanted to have my room perfect, but he came first. So he went around, and he learned so many words. In 5 years, he knew like phrases and everything. You can cut this part, and he will come every time I entered my room. He came and began. And not only that, he came and began, they screech when they talk, He was bilingual, but he knew how to use the things. If there was a big nose, he said, Nicholas, what was that, Nicholas? What happens, Nicholas? He knew nobody told him to dance, If I turned on the television or something and he heard the music with a beat, he started like an American Indian, all around it. And then he came for me to approve it. Then he sang beautifully. Every time I came into the room, he was like an actor in the midst, and he started to, it's like a whistling. It's not a screeching thing, it's a whistling with a minute and a half. Invented the most beautiful. And I took that he was an angel from God. Not just like that, but the comfort that God gave me because I left Miami and the family. And here he is. But he's darker, like here. Mm-hmm. All this yellow, all this part was little things like that. Waves of that, of gray with blue. The tail was all dark blue. Oh, beautiful. And then not to be so lonely when I went to retreat, until I tell sister to come and give it the best of food I could buy with my little money, the best, and he did some things. I have a cushion that was pink like that, pink, dark pink. And when I bought a little companion for her, here it is. She called her Kitty. He can talk to her and everything. It was so tiny, no instincts of anything. So he used to clean her ears, and they talk to her, comb her. I don't know how many times, but he knew many words. You would surprise the phrases he said. Say if you say sometimes. Whatever, he understood more or less what it meant, and 50 good phrases like that. So he died the week before Holy Week, and it all tied to me like a message. You are here, you are not going to have many years to live here. This is a preparation, and I suffer so much to come into the room and to see him on the floor with a head crash. It couldn't be. What could possibly kill the crash of that little boy? He was under, the room was no bigger than that. There was nothing else. The little places, from the cage, I don't know what happened. I cried so much. It's a hurt to me like a human being that have been with me for years. And here he is. And I am talking here, and he is, where is he? He's here. I am with the telephone behind the thing, and the other little bird is somewhere around here. And yes, this is the one of her. I have one that has more color. He was something from God. And when I prayed the rosary, he was very, and my brother, he was in my brother's house when he was like 1 or 2 years old. When we prayed to him, he was here like a person praying, oh, how my. And at night he wanted to see me, so I closed the towers, so they could, and he always was looking at me like, oh, what a gift from God, God is the greatest love. The last point, St. Augustine said, after he tried women and everything, because he was the son of a soldier, the mother was always praying for him, that he, after 30 years of prayer, he said this, you have made, famous phrase, there are different translations, you have made us to the measure of your heart, O Lord, and our heart is going to be unsatisfied until we rest in you. No matter how much people love you and everything, and we are not equal. We have to love, accepting, forgiving, trying to, we don't have to be trodden by your enemy or anything, but trying to give love and everything. So our heart is going to be unsatisfied, even by the best of friends, I had the most tender father and mother in my life. This is SisterLillia. You can keep copies, I'll send me the other things, and I will reimburse you for the yes, yeah.
We'll take care.
Yes, thank you. In all truth, I'm a very sincere person. I'm a mystery because I am supposed to be, by the Jesuits examinations, I'm supposed to be more, less social, less social and less talkative and everything, but I have to use my life for good, for something positive. So sometimes overdo it. The will of God is you take for there 3 or 4 phrases, and the other forget it. I don't, in my family even, that doesn't want us to have anything written about us, because it doesn't measure up so much. So don't think about me. I don't want you to mention any title or degree of intellectual, no. Do whatever you want to, okay? Thank you so much. God loves you. I bet you the other gave me to, I am not extroverted. But it seemed to me because I know that God wants me to be with the people and all my life since I was small, Very sweet and everything. Always, they call me my people, the people I have outside admire me and love me and everything. But in the convent it's different. We love each other in another way, More the American way too, And I am glad. And I remember the Spanish superiors were a little bit motherly. And I was 17, 18, and I said, no, Lord, I don't want, after I left my mother and my father, I don't want that type of love, Josuma. So, God loves you. You be my heart and mine forever. My heart is infinite. Even if I forgot your name or everything, there you are. And sometimes I will remember you. Every day I pray for everybody to touch my life. And you, okay, so God bless you a lot, and you too, for doing this thing for the Sisters of St. Joseph. Do it according to the others. Don't put me this way, maybe because I talk too much, and maybe Yes. Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Sister.
Sister, thank you.
I got bursitis the other day. I tried to put the hand and get something, and I'm working with it. I usually, it's not so bad, it's bearable, but my hand is weaker now. You have a little girl coming now called Lynn?
Yes.
Yes.
Do you know about her?
Yes.
She does, while she was there, so she doesn't talk too much. But
That's okay.
maybe how she liked to work, what she did, all that,
Mm-hmm.
She be